Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where the perpetrator seeks to sow seeds of doubt in the victim, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity. This tactic often involves the perpetrator denying the victim's experiences or feelings, trivializing their concerns, or even outright lying about events. Over time, gaslighting can lead the victim to feel confused, anxious, and unsure of themselves, ultimately eroding their confidence and sense of reality. Playing the victim. Playing the victim is a manipulation tactic where someone portrays themselves as the innocent or wronged party in a situation to gain sympathy, attention, or to deflect responsibility. They may exaggerate their hardships, downplay their role in conflicts, or shift blame onto others, often to manipulate others into feeling sorry for them or to avoid consequences for their actions. Social isolation. Social isolation manipulation is a tactic where an individual or group intentionally isolates someone from their social support network to exert control or influence over them. This can involve various methods such as gaslighting, spreading rumors, or undermining existing relationships to make the targeted person feel dependent on the manipulator for validation or support. Downplaying concerns. Manipulation involves minimizing or dismissing another person's legitimate worries or fears in order to manipulate or control them. This tactic is often used to invalidate someone's feelings or experiences, making them doubt themselves and their perceptions. It can be subtle, such as making statements like, "You're overreacting," or "It's not that big of a deal," or more overt, like mocking or belittling the person's concerns. Humiliation and bullying. Humiliation and bullying manipulation tactics involve using verbal, emotional, or physical aggression to demean, belittle, or intimidate another person. This can include public humiliation, name-calling, ridicule, threats, or even physical violence. The purpose is to assert power and control over the victim, often to make them feel inferior, powerless, or unworthy. Love bombing. Love bombing is a manipulation tactic where someone showers another person with excessive affection, attention, compliments, and gifts in a short period of time, usually at the beginning of a relationship. The goal is to quickly establish a deep emotional connection and gain control over the other person. Love bombers often use flattery and grand gestures to overwhelm their target, making them feel special and desired. Projection. Projection manipulation is a psychological tactic where someone deflects their own negative traits, thoughts, or feelings onto another person. By projecting their own issues onto someone else, they can avoid facing them themselves. This tactic can involve blaming others for things they're actually responsible for, or accusing others of behaviors the person themselves is engaging in. It's a defense mechanism to protect one's ego and avoid feelings of guilt or shame. Boundary violations. Boundary violations manipulation occurs when someone disregards or crosses another person's boundaries, whether emotional, physical, or psychological, to control or manipulate them. This tactic involves ignoring or disrespecting the individual's limits and can lead to feelings of discomfort, powerlessness, or violation. Magnifying and minimizing. Magnifying and minimizing manipulation involves distorting the significance of events or emotions to manipulate perception. The manipulator may exaggerate or amplify certain aspects to make them seem more important or downplay others to make them seem less significant. This tactic is used to control how others perceive situations and to influence their reactions or decisions. Deflecting. Deflecting manipulation involves recognizing when someone is trying to manipulate you and responding in a way that protects yourself from their influence. This can include setting boundaries, asking for clarification, staying calm, and asserting your own needs and beliefs. It's about not allowing yourself to be swayed or controlled by someone else's agenda. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping manipulation involves making someone feel guilty or responsible for actions or situations, often through emotional manipulation or exaggeration. The manipulator uses guilt to control the individual's behavior or choices, exploiting their sense of obligation or empathy to get what they want. Shaming. Shaming manipulation involves using guilt, embarrassment, or humiliation to control or influence someone's behavior. The manipulator may criticize or belittle the individual, targeting their self-esteem and causing them to feel ashamed of their actions or choices. This tactic can be used to maintain power and control over the individual by making them feel inadequate or unworthy. Restrictions. Restrictions manipulation involves imposing limitations or constraints on someone's freedom or choices to control their behavior. The manipulator may restrict access to resources, opportunities, or information, making the individual dependent on them and more compliant to their wishes. This tactic can be used to assert authority and maintain control over the individual's actions. Objectification. Objectification manipulation involves treating someone as a mere object or means to an end, disregarding their feelings, needs, and autonomy. The manipulator views the individual as an object to be used for their own purposes, often ignoring their humanity and exploiting them for personal gain or gratification. This tactic can erode the individual's self-worth and lead to feelings of powerlessness. Infantilization. Infantilization manipulation is when someone treats another person as if they were much younger or less competent than they actually are in order to control or manipulate them. It can involve speaking to them in a patronizing tone, making decisions for them without their input, or denying them responsibilities or opportunities for growth. It undermines the individual's autonomy and can make them feel dependent on the manipulator. Passive aggression. Passive aggression manipulation involves expressing hostility or resentment indirectly, often through subtle remarks, sarcasm, or nonverbal cues, instead of openly addressing the issue. It's a way for the manipulator to assert control or get their way while avoiding direct confrontation. This behavior can confuse and manipulate others by making them feel guilty or uncertain about the situation. Judging. Judging manipulation is when someone criticizes or evaluates another person's actions, choices, or character in a negative or judgmental way with the intention of influencing or controlling them. It can undermine the individual's self-esteem and confidence, making them more susceptible to the manipulator's influence. Ultimatums. Ultimatums manipulation involves issuing threats or demands to coerce someone into doing what the manipulator wants. It's a way to exert control and pressure the individual into compliance by making them feel like they have no other choice. Reinforcements and punishments. Reinforcements and punishments manipulation involves using rewards or punishments to influence someone's behavior. The manipulator might offer rewards for compliance or threaten punishments for disobedience, aiming to control the individual's actions through incentives and consequences. Triangulation. Triangulation manipulation involves bringing a third party into a relationship or situation in order to manipulate or control dynamics. This can create tension, foster competition, or divert attention away from the manipulator's behavior, ultimately serving their agenda. Credit and debt inflation. Credit and debt inflation manipulation involves artificially inflating credit or debt levels to create a false sense of prosperity or financial stability. This tactic can be used by individuals, businesses, or governments to manipulate economic perceptions, attract investment, or maintain power. However, it can lead to unsustainable levels of debt and economic instability in the long run. Preying on insecurities. Preying on insecurities. Manipulation involves exploiting someone's vulnerabilities or self-doubts to control or influence their behavior. The manipulator may use tactics such as criticism, comparison, or manipulation of emotions to undermine the individual's confidence and make them more susceptible to manipulation.